Now the details. The Public Utilities Regulatory Commission, PURC, has indicated it will sanction utility companies found to have reviewed their tariffs without approval. This follows complaints by some businesses of a sudden increase in what they pay for power consumed as compared with last year. George Rafi has more.
The first quarter of 2017 has seen private businesses in Ghana express grave concerns over the high cost of doing business in the country.
For some of these businesses, their concerns emanate from the fact that they have witnessed a sudden jump in electricity bills, even though there hasn't been any changes in equipment's use. For some, the development is worrying, especially at the time that most of them are yet to recover from the recent energy crisis. Analysts say the development could cripple the operations of businesses. But Director of Public Relations and External Affairs of the PURC, Naya Jantua, tells Joy Business the Commission will move in quickly to address the situation.
We haven't reviewed tariffs since 2015, and I think that it is good this has come up. Yesterday it was being discussed that maybe we have to do some work concerning these complaints. We have to actually go in there to see what is going on, because you hear some of these complaints that people are paying more, even residential consumers are saying they are paying more than what they were paying even last year. It's good that multimedia has come up, so what we're going to do is that starting next week we will bring a team to multimedia, maybe as a start, as a pilot, to find out exactly what the situation is.
With your laws, does it give any provision where these utility companies can work within a band where I might not necessarily even need to come to you to review tariffs by even a point?
PURC, as an independent organization set up by an act of parliament, has a mandate to set tariffs in Ghana. There is no way the utility can do their own tariffs without coming to the PURC. What we do is that if any consumer has been overbilled, the consumer is giving back their units. There's a compensation to it. Once we investigate and we find out that that's why we need your bills, per unit is above what PURC has approved, then we'll look at it. But there are other issues that would also make you see some increase in your bills, maybe your own systems, your power factor, the kind of equipment that you are using.
In a later development, the Commission has also indicated that small businesses will witness some reduction in what they pay for power consumed after the current utility tariff structure is reviewed. President Akufo-Addo, in his State of the Nation address, announced that government is implementing a new policy which will reclassify consumers into different categories. Director of Public Relations and External Affairs at PURC, Naya Jantua, says small businesses will be the biggest beneficiary of this review.
As a policy, all these small-scale industries like hairdressers, SMEs, they are going to be on their own, so that they have a certain tariff that will bring relief to them. So that also if there are subsidies right now, it will be well targeted and it will go to them. Now, because they are lumped together, if there's a subsidy for them to get relief, the subsidy does not target them, but it targets the whole group. So now if this is unbundled, then we're able to say that this is an SME of carpenters. Then all of them have their own tariff, which is lower than the others who have the ability to pay.
The Commission put together this automatic adjustment formula. Since 2015, we haven't seen any review. What has happened to that whole system?
We have been doing the reviews, but we are not seeing any increases, because you see, after a major tariff review and the parameters haven't changed much, it is assumed that all cost implications are covered, because you see the tariff, when you look at the tariff classes, it represents a certain revenue requirement that the utilities need to work. And whilst inputs of crude oil and the generation mix, things haven't changed much since 2015, we still do the automatic adjustment formula, but we don't see any increases because it's based on parameters.
Now, some businesses continue to lament the persistent hikes in utility prices affecting costs of their operations, as well as increase in prices. President Akufo-Addo, in his State of the Nation address on Tuesday, assured his government's effort to review the utility tariff structure in order to reduce the burden on the business community. Charles Aite has been looking at the extent to which high cost of power is affecting some local printing firms and has come through with this report.
The first quarter of 2017 has seen private businesses in Ghana express grave concerns over the high cost of doing business in the country, coupled with issues of high interest rates. But high on the table of most businessmen and women happen to do with the issue of the high cost of electricity tariffs. I'm currently standing at the very largest publication house, one of the largest publication house actually in Accra, which happens to be the Adjunsa Publication Ghana Limited. And I'm here to find out how the high cost of utility tariffs is affecting business, if it is at all, and how best they are adjusting in these present times. Ghana's energy crisis has dealt a really heavy blow to many businesses. Despite efforts by the previous administration to increase power generation and enhance power supply, the situation is yet to go away entirely. Adjunsa Publications Limited, one of the largest local printing firms in Ghana, is agitating the high cost of power as well as its consistency as a major challenge. This development, according to the business, could result in downsizing of its staff.
Since I came to this place, I've been facing the doomsday, as normally call it.
James is a worker who mans huge machinery at Adjunsa Publications. He says he feels insecure as a worker following the challenges his company faces with the high cost of utility.
It will really affect me also because I quite remember last was it 2 years or 3 years, some of the workers were being laid off, and I was very scared that I could be laid off. So like each and everyone here was busy working to avoid suspension or laid off. So anytime job comes, we force ourselves to work, to stay inside. But that was how it affected me. I was very scared that I could be laid off.
Speaking on the erratic power supply in the first quarter of the year, Chief Editor of Adjunsa Publications Limited laments the current trend distorts the productivity of publishers in Ghana. According to him, clients are now seeking the services of foreign publishers as the local industry is unable to cushion itself against the energy crisis.
We use electricity more. As you came, I was working on my laptop. Somebody brings a manuscript to you. You need to read and read carefully. But at times, as you are reading, your light goes off. So your trend of thought also goes off, literally, because you have to stop reading and then wait for the light to come up. Even at times, there are things that you see, things that you see in manuscripts. You would like to establish the fact. You must go online to check. But because the light is off, you cannot do it. Secondly, even time is money. So when light goes off, you stop doing everything. You have also given an author a timeline to come back. It's money. It's affecting, or it has affected us a lot. Because, for example, I'm here, you bring me your manuscript, I've given you 2 days to come for us to maybe go through things that I have seen. But I can't finish the manuscript in that 2 days. So instead of using maybe 1 week to do about 2 or 3 manuscripts, I'll end up using about 3-4 weeks.
The Business Development and Human Resource Manager of Adjunsa Publications Ghana Limited, Evelyn Afra Apansa, tells me a reduction in utility tariffs gives local publishers like Adjunsa the opportunity to expand and employ more workers in 2017.
At the moment, operating cost is very high, and for some years now, I've not seen any significant growth here. So with the reduction in the tariffs, in the power tariffs, electricity tariffs, I guess we are going to pay less, so we'll have surplus money to expand, buy new machines, employ new people. Currently, most graduates from the publishing department at the KNUST graduate and then they end up in the banks because we aren't able to employ them we aren't able to employ them. But we need the experts to move the printing and publishing industry in Ghana forward.
Even as workers here at the Ajunsa Publications Limited are up to their job in such a very busy day as this, one thing resonates in their minds, which cuts across several Ghanaian workers across the country: the high cost of utility tariffs and its effects in the cost of doing business in Ghana. They've raised the concerns and they are waiting on how best government is going to fast-track its resolve in reducing the tariffs drastically. For Joy Business, Charles Aite reporting in Accra.
International trade consultant Frederick Alipui has downplayed assertions that the now enforced World Trade Facilitation Agreement could somewhat encourage illegal trade because of the expected reduction in the bureaucratic trade processes. The agreement, which came into force on Wednesday, seeks to make trade easier, faster and cheaper by reducing transaction time. This has prompted suggestions this may only compromise the checks and balances in import and export activities and thereby deepen illegal activities at the ports. Exporters and importers are now expected to carry out their activities in an easier, faster and cheaper manner. This is because the World Trade Facilitation Agreement now in force will help the process. This is not just a major milestone for global trading systems, but also the first multilateral deal in the 21st century history of the World Trade Organization. According to international trade consultant and chairman of the Greater Accra Regional Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Frederick Alipui, Ghana, as a developing nation, will be supported to modernize its operations at the ports and major entry points.
There are mega scanning machines through which the container will be passed through. The driver will just drive the container truck through those kinds of mega scanning machines. This agreement is going to help developing countries, especially including Ghana, to apply for more of these scanning machines so that we shall experience much more rapid release and clearance of goods at the ports and at the airports and the borders.
At whose cost?
No, the cost is because during the negotiations, Ghana and the other developing countries have made the point that those machines are expensive, and the developed countries have accepted to establish this facility, which will be funded by development partners.
Frederick Alipui explains how the agreement will enhance trade between Ghana and other trading partners.
It is a mutual win-win undertaking. Their trade goods will come to our countries and vice versa, and therefore they are trying to help the global community to facilitate the movement of goods in terms of import-export. Some of the elements in the agreement are, pre-dispatch, clearance and declaration. There will be uniform and standardized forms which will be used. But what to add is that the encouragement for the use of electronic means of declaring goods and also electronic payment system is a modern way of transacting business, all in the bid to speed up the processing of and the movement of goods and services.
This development is expected to have a positive impact on Ghana's quest to boost export and the government's export diversification agenda. Now, industrial hubs typically come with standard infrastructure facilities, including motorable road networks with constant supply of utilities. The story at North Industrial Area here in Accra is, however, a far cry from this. The road network there has been in a rather terrible state for quite some time now and duly hampering business activities. Amelia also brings us the situational report on this development in today's special Friday feature.
The light industrial area is home to a cross-section of businesses ranging from small business operators to industries like Poly Group of Companies, producers of polytank, as well as a number of banks. Despite the contribution of the businesses to the economy, the road system has been in a deplorable state for years compared to even nearby residential places which can boast of asphalt roads. Ashanti Foam Ghana Limited, popularly known as Ashfoam, is one of the companies on that stretch, and the marketing and communications manager, Joe Ampemda Quinchi, laments how the situation has affected their operations.
It is so frustrating, I must be honest with you. As a company, when the road is bad, with the big vehicles that come in, heavy-duty vehicles that comes in and all that, you see, there's a lot of breakages. And there's wear and tear. Sometimes you come here and it creates a lot of traffic as well because of the breakdowns of the cars, and it has had a lot of toll on the company. Look, our movement out, in and out, bringing in raw materials and even distributing, sending back the product, the time that is consumed, and the inconvenience that it generates. So I can say that it's a problem. It's been a very big problem. But let's even look at the sad part of it. This is an industry that has a lot of people. In our company alone, we are over 800, staff. And look at the dust that comes in daily. That's the health of the people, the workers. We pay a lot of taxes. We invest so much money in buying tires, in buying spare parts, so we can fix our cars. What do we do? At the end of the day, if you're investing so much in these things because your roads are bad, then it's either you are laying off staff so that you can meet your cost of production and other things.
As at the time I was filing this report, a water truck was sprinkling water on the thoroughfare to control the dust in circulation. I also witnessed other heavy-duty trucks parked nearby, ostensibly for repair works on the road, which I was told started a week ago. The branch manager of Lava Retail Shop, Isaac Enim, explained to me how the bad state of the road is negatively affecting their cost of operations and, by extension, the prices of their goods.
It's giving a lot of problem simply because the customers don't really want to come around to buy. Secondly, the dust is also too much and it's affecting our sales very much. Actually, now even our truck cannot come closer to in front of the shop to park for us to offload the goods. We have to park on the way for us to offload the goods. And we are selling a lot of big items, these big deep freezers and those things. We have to carry them, and it's giving a lot of problem.
Small businesses in the area are not spared the negative impact either, as they also complain having to pay more to suppliers of their items. Yes, Lord, whose shop is located along the Aveno railway stretch of the road, is one of such affected dealers, and he explains.
The area, we have a bad roads around. Main thing is the railways. We normally, if it's rain, we can see the area with potholes, always car bumpers. Just come out and it affects us more. Yes, sometimes if you load our goods coming around here, the trailers normally complain that the road affects us. So sometimes if they need to take some amount from us, they increase it because of the route, the nature of the route. Yeah, so we need the government to come in.
A clarion call perhaps to the authorities at the Urban Roads Department towards giving real meaning to the TAG industrial area. Many believe there has been a consistent decline in business activities at the RIN recent years. Fixing the roads should therefore boost not only the supply of goods and services, but also create more jobs. For Joy Business, Amele Josu.
Now, CEO of Rankart Solutions, Kofi Darcy, has dismissed suggestions that software developers in Ghana could be unfairly losing out to competition from their foreign counterparts around the globe. Although Ghana's tech industry is producing brilliant app developers and other players, there are concerns the sector is growing at a relatively slow rate compared with advancements around the world. This is attributed to inadequate structures and funding to produce homegrown technological inventions. But Mr. Darcy says globalization offers equal opportunities for growth regardless of one's location. He said this on the Business Leadership Show on Joy News Channel on Multi TV, the Executive Lounge.
I think we've caught up. We just need to start acting it. I don't think there's any excuse anymore for a software developer who is willing to patiently go through the ideation process to not be able to compete globally, whether they are in Kumasi or in Takoradi, versus if they are in Taiwan or in San Francisco. Maybe where we are left with the remaining gap will be attitude. And what I mean by attitude is the willingness to think differently. That's all I mean by attitude. Maybe it isn't even the right word. Because the tools are now all present. A software developer in Takrady can deploy an app they build to the Google Play Store, the Apple iStore, quite as much as somebody in Taiwan or Singapore or in Europe or in the States could. There are almost no significant barriers remaining to a good idea, and that's the challenge. It's no longer about access to the tools or the platforms. Google will price your app, whether it's built in Singapore or in Sunyani, in cedis to a Ghanaian with an app in Ghana, and in Singapore, dollars to a Singaporean there. I mean, if it's limited geographically, it's because you say don't display this elsewhere. But otherwise, everybody will have access to it. The question is the idea good enough?
All right, so you watched the full episode with Kofi Dazi on the Executive Lounge on Saturday at 5 p.m. on the Joy News channel. You're still on Business Live. We're taking a quick break. We'll be right back. Another energy think tank, the Kumasi Institute of Technology and Environment, KITE, is backing calls for the bulk oil storage and transportation company BOST to revert to its core mandate. The company is tasked to stock strategic oil reserves as part of measures to secure the country against any fuel shortages, especially arising from external factors. BOST has, however, been accused of renting out its facilities to the bulk oil distribution companies, or BDCs. This is said to be a diversion from its mandate, as a concern re-echoed by the Energy Minister Boakye Jaku during his vetting. Speaking with Joy Business, Executive Director of KITE, Ishmael Ejokumihin, said it is about time BOST focused on management of the country's oil reserves.
BOST is, as the name suggests, they're supposed to help provide strategic reserves for the nation. So it means that if they have any facility to hold stock, it should be such that it belongs to the government, it is state-owned, that we can fall on as and when the BDCs, for example, decide to play funny games with us. But if we end up using BOST reservoirs, or no, BOST storage tanks, for example, to be used by the BDCs, then they are not strategic reserve in the strict sense of the word, because the BDCs can decide not to even release those products, even though they are in BOST's own facility. I think they've also gone into importation of fuel, and because of the connection between TOR, also gradually getting into even the downstream. Okay, that wasn't their mandate. But if we think that for any reason they can be made to do something more, that shouldn't take them away from their core function. Their core function is provide strategic reserves in bulk, so that as and when for any reason the BDCs are not bringing any fuel, or TOR is not producing fuel at the time the BOST was.
The wrap for the show for tonight. Many thanks for joining me. For more business stories, log on to myjoyonline.com/business. Have a great weekend.